Am I the a-hole for refusing to apologize to my parents for running away from home several years ago after only letting them know I was okay recently? When I, 23 male, was 16, I ran away from home and from my parents and sister. There was a lot going on at home and it wasn't a healthy environment. My sister had mental health issues since she was young and her behavior was worsening, with police involvement increasing. She's 3 years younger than me, so I was expected to deal with it in a more adult-like way. I wasn't supposed to have a hard time with it. I wasn't supposed to get upset or fear for my safety around her. I was a boy, older and taller than her. She was a girl, younger and shorter than me. It was meant to be okay. My parents never wanted to hear that I wasn't okay. Neither did my grandparents, aunts, uncles, or other family members. My breaking point was my sister stabbing me in the hand with a knife after she tried to show me what she wanted to do to herself. She did stuff to herself a lot. It wasn't the first time I'd been hurt, or even the first time I saw her do things like that to herself. She tried to show me a lot of that stuff over the years, but my parents were mad that I didn't leap for the knife the second I saw her with it, and then they were so busy fussing over her, calling her care team and trying to talk her down, and I was standing there bleeding, and they didn't even care. So I left in the middle of the night. I didn't leave a note or take anything with me except 2 changes of clothes that I'd bought myself. I was homeless for almost 2 years. I didn't finish high school. I didn't reach out to anyone in my family. I never intended to reach back out again. I was mad at them, and I was hurt, but I never planned to reach out because nobody had cared. I did all the stuff you're meant to do. I spoke up, I confided in people, I got in touch with other family and teachers, and nobody wanted to help me. I made a pretty good life for myself now. I still have a lot to figure out, but I'm happier than I was back at home. It being years later helps a ton too. A couple of months ago, I found out through social media that my parents had started to ask where I was and if anyone had seen me or knew where I was. It started not too long before I found it. I looked, and there were no signs they'd done anything before to look. That told me a lot, but they were getting more attention for it, and it made me reach out to tell them I was okay. I told them to leave me alone. But of course they didn't, and I wanted to block them, but they wanted to go public again. We talked a little since. They wanted apology, but I refused. I told them I'm not sorry and I don't regret running away. They freaked out and told me I should realize how reckless and dangerous it was. I told them it was no more dangerous than living with them and my sister. They told me not to be so dramatic. They said my sister was only one girl and would never hurt me the way random creeps on the streets could. They gave my contact info to some of our other family, and some of them have tried to call and scold me for not apologizing. I'm on the verge of telling my parents that, if they try to shame me for blocking them, I can share exactly how little they cared about me. They said I still need to apologize for what I did, and they can't believe that at 23 I don't see it. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. Would block them completely if I were you. I think you deserve an apology way more, and if they can't see it, then you're better off without them. I'm considering it for the peace not having contact brought me, but I also don't want them acting like I'm still missing. Although maybe if I make it clear I will speak up if they do, they might, just might let it go. You are an adult now. They know you are alive. All their flying monkey relatives know you are alive. Let them live with the public shame of having everyone know that their son wants nothing to do with them. You don't owe them anything, more than the lack of care and non-apology they have given you. Block them and find peace. They haven't changed. They are still the same crappy people they were when you left, who have now turned into blackmailers too. They probably want to coerce you into being a carer for their daughter. Not the a-hole. Tell your parents and the rest of the family that they're the ones who should apologize, then block them. You thrived without them for 6 years, and it sounds like communicating with them now will only have a negative impact on your mental health. I can already feel the mental strain of speaking to them as much as I have. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to invite my estranged sister to my wedding despite my parents' threats? I, 28 female, have a younger sister Emma, 25 female, who I have been distant from for the last 2 years. During our childhood, Emma was very adept at manipulation. She repeatedly deceived our parents to get me into trouble, and her dishonesty reached its worst when she claimed I was stealing money from them when I didn't, resulting in me being grounded for the whole summer. As we became adults, she didn't improve. During family gatherings, she would instigate arguments, spread gossip, and overall create a hostile and unwelcoming atmosphere for everyone. The final straw was when she told our relatives that I was marrying solely for my fiancé's wealth, which is entirely false and deeply rude, distasteful, and hurtful. Following that event, I severed ties with her. It was a tough choice, but I believed it was necessary for my mental well-being because that night hurt a lot. Recently, Emma contacted me to apologize, saying that she's changed and wants to restore our relationship to be even stronger than it was before. A part of me wants to trust her, but her past dishonesty makes me cautious, and honestly, I don't have the guts to believe her as much as I want to. Also, my parents are urging me to invite Emma to the wedding. They hold strong conservative views and believe that family should always take precedence, regardless of circumstances. They think the wedding might provide an opportunity for reconciliation between her and me. Nonetheless, I'm afraid that she might create chaos and completely ruin the wedding. My fiancé supports me in any decision I make and also shares my concerns about possible conflict. The situation got worse when my parents said they would not come to the wedding if Emma is not invited. This seems like emotional manipulation, and it's breaking me down. I don't know what to do. I care for my parents and have always envisioned their presence on my special day, but I also refuse to be compelled to invite someone who has caused me significant pain. To make it even more complicated, our wedding budget is limited and our guest list is already at capacity. Inviting Emma would mean excluding someone else, such as a good friend, which feels unfair. Am I the a-hole for not inviting my estranged sister to my wedding, even if it could result in my parents not attending? Should I offer her a second chance or prioritize my peace on my wedding day? Edit. Emma's apology seemed sincere, but I can't tell if it's genuine given her track record. Also, my fiancé and I are paying for the wedding ourselves, so I feel like it's our call who gets invited. Definitely not the a-hole. Your sister is crazy if she thinks she deserves an invite after the years of torture she put you through. And that definitely did seem like emotional manipulation from your parents. If it were me, and they were making claims like that because I didn't invite my sister who I cut ties with years ago, I would officially take back their invite. It sounds to me like they don't deserve you more your time and love. Thank you so much. I totally agree that my sister doesn't deserve an invite after everything she's put me through over the years. Hearing you call it torture feels like that's what it was. And it's nice to know I'm not overreacting by cutting her out of my wedding. Once again, you have let her manipulate you into being against me. I think it would be best if none of you come to my wedding. Maybe in a few years we can try to connect again, but my wedding is not the place to test it, and is one of the last times you could have chosen me, instead of once again asking me to be the bigger person. Not the a-hole. That is such a thoughtful response. I think I'll probably say something like this to them over the phone or over coffee. Next story. Am I the a-hole for evicting my elderly parents and mentally challenged older sister from my home? I, 38 female, and my husband Fred, 36 male, recently bought a new home in December, and we were thrilled about the space it provides for our growing family. We have a 13-year-old daughter from a previous relationship and are expecting a baby in September. The new home also allowed us to accommodate my elderly father, mother, and my mentally challenged older sister, who have lived with me for years. For some context, I've been financially supporting my family since I was 16, and out of my two sisters, I'm the cash cow. My parents have always struggled with money, and I've often had to help with their debts. When I had my daughter, I was living with my family, and they frequently tried to undermine my parenting decisions. After buying my first home in 2015, I quickly realized that my mom was treating it as if it were hers, getting upset if I had guests over, replacing my decor with her own, and hoarding items that cluttered the space. They also caused damage to my home and refused to contribute to repairs, yet somehow found money to support my younger sister's wedding in 2020. My younger sister is my mom's favorite. Over the years, the environment has become increasingly toxic. My family, especially my mom, has been verbally abusive, often shouting and name-calling, which has escalated to physical altercations. One particularly distressing incident occurred on my birthday in 2018 when my mom physically assaulted me, leading to the police being called. I didn't press charges, but the situation has only worsened since then. Now, as I'm 5 months pregnant, I'm deeply concerned about exposing my unborn child to this volatile environment. It's bad enough my daughter has already been exposed to this madness. I've made multiple requests for my parents and sister to find alternative living arrangements, but they have consistently refused to leave. They haven't contributed to any household expenses since, and I feel like I've reached my breaking point. After consulting with an attorney, we've decided to proceed with eviction. I'm feeling guilty about this decision, especially considering their financial situation, but I can't continue living in this toxic environment. Am I the a-hole for evicting them? I can provide more details if needed. You have been more than generous. Evict them. Protect your own family. OP is not the parent in this relationship and should not have to take on that role because the real ones can't be bothered. She certainly doesn't have to allow people to live in her home and abuse her. I hope OP makes sure her 13-year-old doesn't feel it wasn't worth evicting them for her, but it is worth it for the baby. Not the a-hole. After years of being a provider for them, you deserve to enjoy life with your family. They sound like selfish, horrible people, and they pretty much dug their own grave. Maybe there is a way to support your sister without her living in your home? It depends on her behavior and also the extent of her disability, of course. I'm so sorry you had to go through all of that, and you deserve nothing but happiness with your loved ones. Stay strong, OP. My older sister is 56 years old. She was never officially diagnosed because in the 70s, learning disabilities were heavily stigmatized, and my parents didn't want to face that reality. She was put in special needs classes when teachers were allowed to beat on kids for acting out. My mom got plastered drunk when she was pregnant with my sister. She has the mind of a 12-year-old and has violent outbursts when upset. My parents never got her the help she needed, which was a disservice to my sister. Not the a-hole. I'm so sorry. It sounds like you should have filed a restraining order against your mom in 2018. You deserve a home that's safe for you, your husband, and your kids. How has your oldest daughter handled seeing you treated so badly? She hates it. Every time I've apologized for having her exposed to this, she replies with, "I'm used to it." I hate that chaos is normalized for her. Last story. Am I the a-hole telling my brother-in-law to stop treating my husband like a child? So, I 48 female, my husband 49 male, and my daughter 16, attended my mother-in-law's birthday party. It was a large family gathering that included my father-in-law, brothers-in-law, sisters-in-law, uncles, aunts, nephews, and nieces. Now, there's this brother-in-law 54 male, whom I shall name Ken for this purpose, and he happens to be my husband's oldest brother. The thing about Ken is that he has this constant habit of lecturing my husband. For example, he questioned why my husband had bought a Korean car, going on about how they're no good, and that he should have bought a Japanese or German one instead. And other things like, why on earth did you buy this jacket and jumper? They don't suit you at all. Have you bought gifts for mother? They better not be some cheap stuff that you didn't put any thought into. At first, I chalked it up to an older brother looking out for his younger brother, but then the tone and words he used seemed overbearing. Not even my husband's mother and father nagged him like this, at least not in front of others. And as I've learned, Ken only targets my husband and doesn't boss his other siblings around like that. My husband doesn't react too strongly when his oldest brother goes at him. He just nods along and says, "Okay then." I mean, I have tried telling my husband that he should just tell his big bro to lay off him already. Anyway, here comes the issue. We were having dinner at the table, talking about random topics that came to mind. One of my sisters-in-law was asking if we had made any holiday plans. My husband mentioned that we are going on a trip to the Maldives soon. And of course, Ken butted in. He was like, "Oh, really? So who organized this trip? Don't tell me that your wife did everything for you." I jumped in and pointed out that my husband had sorted out our trip. Then he questioned my husband, "Are your passports up to date? Have you checked if you need visas, etc.?" And after my husband answered everything, he said, "Wow, good boy, you're stepping up." Honestly, I was pretty peeved about this and thought this could not go on forever. As soon as Ken left to go to the bathroom, I made an excuse to leave the dining room and waited outside for him. When he came back out, I spoke with him. I told him as nicely as I could, "You need to stop treating my husband like he's a kid and show him some respect." Let's just say Ken didn't like the way I confronted him. At first, he acted all confused and in denial, saying he wasn't disrespecting my husband. I kept insisting that he was. Once he reacted aggressively, "Who the heck do you think you are? What's it got to do with you?" That's when I finally lost my cool. The commotion was obviously heard, and we had to be split up. It made the rest of the birthday party awkward after that. My other brother-in-law and his sisters-in-law were saying to me that it shouldn't be my place to speak on my husband's behalf. And if he feels discomfort over what Ken says to him, he should be the one speaking up. With all things considered, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Info. What did your husband say when you told him he should stand up to his brother? You've talked a lot about how much it bothers you, but not a word about how your husband feels about it. My husband would be like, "It's okay, hun. That's just how my big brother is." And then he just laughs it off. But then I can tell that it's not okay at all. Whenever we finished seeing his big bro and on the way back home, he gets withdrawn, quiet, and unresponsive for a while. Even my daughter noticed how down he looks. Like, "Mama, why does daddy look sad?" Not the a-hole at all. Ken sounds super overbearing, and honestly, it's weird that he only targets your husband like that. I get that some people think it's a sibling thing, but there's a line between teasing and just being straight up disrespectful, especially in front of everyone. If your husband isn't comfortable standing up for himself, it makes sense that you'd want to step in. No one wants to watch their partner get talked down to like a child. Yeah, maybe it would have been better if your husband said something himself, but sometimes people just get used to that dynamic and don't realize how bad it looks from the outside. You are just trying to have his back. If Ken can dish it out, he should be able to handle being called out.